What's up, everyone? How you doing tonight? It is Oscar Sunday. I'm really excited. I just want to let you know beforehand, because I'm not starting until 7, I figured it'd be kind of cool to run through my Best Picture Oscar reviews or nomination reviews at one by one. It's about an hour long, but if you're interested, hang out, watch my reviews, can leave comments. I'll be kind of monitoring it, and I will be back. I will be back at 7. Excuse me. I apologize for the fan. It's hot in here in this room, so it is running. But anyways, enjoy the pre-roll of the best Oscar nominations. Bye.
So imagine, if you will, if you took the scene from Children of Men, that 7 minute long one take scene, and you turned it into a full movie and put it in World War One. That's 1917. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of 1917, the newest film from director Sam Mendes. It's photographed by Roger Deakins, and it stars George McKay, Dean Charles Chapman, Colin Firth, Mark Strong, Andrew Scott, Richard Madden, and Benedict Cumberbatch. So 1917 is a pretty simple movie. It's about two characters named Schofield and Blake, played by Charles Chapman and, of course, McKay, and they are two young soldiers in World War I on the British side of things, and they are sent on a mission. The mission is take a letter to a corporal or general or whatever to a specific place to keep him from basically falling into a trap that the Germans have set. So this story is basically following these two soldiers as they go to on that destination, and that's the basic storyline of the movie. What makes this movie unique is it's a one-shot movie in essence, where they start one point, they end at another point. You completely follow them to that point to eventually where we get to the ending conclusion of this movie. And that is a very ambitious task, because if you've ever seen movies like Children of Men or, The Player, or any of these movies that have one shots, it's a very hard thing to do. There was a movie that came out called Victoria, which was completely one shot with no edits, which 1917 does have in its one shot, but they did it 7 times in a one shot, and it's very difficult to do. The planning and staging and the amount of characters in this movie and how you have to kind of like coordinate and everything, it's an ambitious task. And I'm going to tell you what, right now, this movie is incredible. This movie is some of the most amazing things I've seen this year in a movie, maybe of the decade. I'm still deciding what I want to do about my decade review right now, but this movie is so ambitious and so ridiculously good that you're just like you're on the edge of your seat, just like gripping the armrest, because you're sweating. And this movie follows them through like the trenches, and it follows them through gunfights, and it just follows them into the monotony of trying to get to a certain place while the tension builds and builds and builds. Because if you know anything about World War One, there was a lot of trench warfare where a lot of people were stuck in trenches, not being able to move, and there was a lot of standstills, and it was a very disturbing thing to watch. World War One was not fun. It's called the Great War for a reason, because it's very disturbing. And this movie is it's showing you how messed up World War One is, or any war in general. And it's an impressive and amazing movie. There are stuff in this movie, there are shots in this movie where your just mind is blown. There's a point in this movie where Roger Deakins, who deserves another Oscar for this movie, and Sam Mendes have set up a shot that they use with lighting. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's a certain sequence, and you'll know when it happens, which is now one of my favorite moments in film history. It's so amazing to watch. It's so well used and so well photographed that it just completely immerses you into the nature and the horrifying elements of World War One. And it's funny because the characters you're following, especially like the big actors, they're not in it for very long, because you're following these two soldiers. So they interact with Mark Strong for like 10 minutes of the movie, maybe even less. So, they'll Colin Firth, who plays like one of the generals, they interacted with him for like 3 minutes of the movie. And it shows you that what they're doing is a very important task, but you're following them. You're not following the big main actors. McKay and Charles Chapman are the main actors of this movie, and it's their story of how they're getting to that point. But the brutality of this movie is just off the charts. It's so uncomfortable to watch. It's very disturbing. It's very depressing. There are moments in this movie where you will probably cry, because it's just so heartbreaking to see like the death and the bodies and the violence that's going on and the things that the Germans and the British soldiers and all these soldiers had to do to protect themselves and to fight their country. And it's just, oh man, this movie is just so mesmerizing. Sam Mendes is just, he proves once again why he's so good at what he does as a director. And his angles and the fact that he is meticulously following these two characters, and you see all these soldiers around them, or they're in the field, or they're in motion, and you see just how everything's playing out. I just can't imagine like the structuring and how they were just able to do the things they do. And this is a film that is going to go down as one of my favorite war movies. Just that good, and the one shot is fantastic. Yes, I see the edits in the movie where they, because this movie took a while to shoot, but it's just, oh my god, this movie is just mind-blowingly good. It's going to be my #1 film of the year. There's no film that's going to supplant this movie. I'm telling you right now, it's like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse last year. It's just such an incredible film. And then Thomas Newman, who is known for doing a lot of Sam Mendes' movies, when he ratchets up the score to coincide with what's going on throughout this film, it's just so chaotic and so boisterous and so Thomas Newman that it's his score, but it's just so well done. It's like anything he does, even though it's familiar, he knows how to put a spin and how to put a twist on it. And it's just so impressive. But like I said, George McKay, Daniel Charles Chapman are fantastic in this movie, especially George McKay, who, he's been in a lot of movies, but this is his breakout role. And the other actors, like, the Benedict Cumberbatch and Mark Strong and Colin Firth and so on and so forth, they're fine in the movie. They're not in it very much, but they have their moments where you like seeing them on screen. But the two actors are what make this movie, and it's fantastic. And like I said, Roger Deakins just proves once again, I thought the moment in Skyfall when they're fighting on top of the building and you see the neon lights and stuff like that was amazing. It's one of my favorite scenes of all time. This scene in this movie that I'm talking about just completely blows that out of the water. It's so fantastic, and it's so emotional, and it's so heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, but it's so mesmerizing to watch that it's a fantastic sequence, and you'll know when you get to it. So, but yeah, this movie it's an A+. If I give it a rating, I'd give it 10 out of 10 because it's such a fantastic movie. So there you go. That is my take on 1917. Let me know in the comments below what are you excited about this movie? Are you not excited? What's your favorite war movie? I'd be interested to know. But yeah, there you go. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, always, of course, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. And of course, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Ford vs. Ferrari, the newest film from director James Mangold, and it stars a whole bunch of people that include Matt Damon, Christian Bale, John Barenthal, Ray McKinnon, Catriona Balfe, Josh Lucas, Noah Jupe, and Tracy Letts. So in the early 1960s to late 1960s, Ferrari was one of the big names at Le Mans. If you don't know what Le Mans is, it's basically like a 24-hour race where cars constantly drive for 24 straight hours, and it's a big deal. Le Mans is a huge deal. And of course, Ferrari was the top dog. They had won for 4 or 5 years in a row, so they're like kind of like, if you're from America, kind of like the Dallas Cowboys or New England Patriots of the race world. They are a big company, and Ford tried to buy them so that they could have a market in the race field. But of course, Ferrari got big-headed. They were bought out by Fiat, and Ford went on to design their own famous car with the help of Carroll Shelby, and the rest is history. Shelby became a famous person. The Ford Motor Company had a race car, and like I said, it's history. And that's this story. It's the story of how Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles and the Ford Motor Company built that car to basically take down Ferrari in the aspect of the racing world. And so this was one of my most anticipated movies. I was looking forward to it. Like I said, if you ever watch my, most anticipated video of the year, James Mangold had directed Logan. And Logan is one of my favorite movies of the decade. When I'm going to do my decade video, you'll see why. And I have every faith in the world in James Mangold. He does very good films. Everything I've ever seen him do, from Girl Interrupted to 3:10 to Yuma to Logan, so on and so forth. The guy is a master at what he does. He's a great, visual style artist. He, knows how to film things really, really well. As stupid as that sounds, he just knows what he's doing. And once again, he's completely blown it out of the water. This movie is fun. It's fantastic. It's riveting. Yes, it's very tropey and it's, biopic style filmmaking, but the one thing I've always said when it comes to those types of films, if you can make it interesting, if you can make the characters interesting, if you can do a justice to the material, you can create whatever you want and it will be fantastic. And that's what's exactly going on here. Matt Damon as Carroll Shelby and Christian Bale as Ken Miles are the stars of this movie, and there's reasons why they're the star. They're fantastic. They're almost Oscar worthy. I think Matt Damon is at his best here. He's had a lot of great career moments like The Martian, but he is so good as Carroll Shelby. He's a guy that knows his stuff. He knows how to put forward on the edge. Matt Damon is just so good at embodying characters. This is another great performance by him. And of course, Christian Bale is a chameleon as an actor. He is just so much fun as that like guy who just like is so angry and just he wants to be a driver, but he wants to put his family first. And he just see him and how he knows how the motor runs and how the engine works and how the car just feels like a person. It's kind of like that scene in Speed Racer when Speed is with his brother, I think Rex or whatever, and they're like, can you feel how the engine's running, can you feel how it turns, can you feel when to go? And it's just that's who Ken Miles was a guy who knew how to work a car. And the fact that Ford kind of gave them carte blanche and designing a car to beat Ferrari, it's just it shows what it was and how it was and so on and so forth. But like I said, Christian Bale and Matt Damon are the stars of this movie, and they really show. Kata Riona Balfe, who plays Ken Miles' wife in the movie, she is also fantastic. She is a person that really roots for Ken Miles. That's the one thing I've always had problems with biopics sometimes, or just movies in general. The wife of the character is so worried all the time. They don't let their husband do the thing, and then at the very end they do the thing and the wife is happy for him. But here the wife is always rooting him on. She's like, just tell me what you're going to do and I will follow you. And Noah Jupe, who plays his son, is also good in this, even though with the limited amount of this time that he's in it. But you can just the dynamic of the family and how it plays out is just really, really fun. John Barenthal is in this movie as Lee Iacocca. He's also he does a really nice job in this movie. He's a lot of fun. He's a guy that is kind of the middleman, the gray area guy, where he has to support the Ford Motor Company, but he really understands what Shelby can do and what Ken Miles can do. But he gets enthralled with the Josh Lucas character, who is, I'm just going to say right now, he's not a well-written character. I know it's based off a famous person, but he's that guy that's always in the back or in the forefront as the antagonist, kind of putting down Ken Miles. And maybe this did happen, but I don't think Josh Lucas really works in this movie very well. It doesn't take away from the fact that he's in the movie, because thank God he's in a movie that's at least decent, because Josh Lucas unfortunately gets in a lot of bad movies. But I just think he's the weak link here, unfortunately. I also enjoy Ray McKinnon, who you might remember from Deadwood. He plays, basically his name is Pops in this movie, but he has a character named Remington. He's like Shelby's right hand man, and he's also a lot of fun. But every character in this movie is a lot of fun. And Tracy Letts, of course, plays Henry Ford II. And even though he is the CEO of the company, he really shows off how he wants to succeed and how he wants the company to become a new form of company, because you can only go so far being in the same rut as always. But this movie in a whole, like I said, it does have problems in the essence of the storytelling, where it does go on longer than some parts are kind of slow and meandering. But when it gets to like the last act of the movie, when it focuses on the racing, when it focuses on those small character moments, it really does a nice job and does a fun job of telling you a story about how these characters did this thing. And when the races happen, when the vehicle driving happens, when anything is in motion, that's when James Mangold is at his finest, because it's exhilarating, it's fantastic. When you see the scenes at Le Mans, it's just like, it blows your mind how exhilarating it is. And for a movie that's 2.5 hours long, it really does go by quicker than you think it does, which is really impressive, because it's hard to manage a movie of that length without making it boring. There are some moments, like I said, in Dr. Sleep, where it does meander, but the movie just does a good job of giving you these moments in history and how these characters did that. And when it gets to, like I said, the Le Mans stuff, that's when it gets exhilarating. That's when this movie goes to another level. And to watch that they actually take time and effort to show you kind of how Le Mans works and how the characters are, how after a certain amount of time, the racer is currently racing, gets out, and then another person goes in, because 24 hours, there's no way somebody could drive that long. But yeah, it's such a good movie. It's probably gonna go in my top 10 or at least some honorable mention. I'm still figuring that out. But it's a movie I definitely highly recommend, especially if you like just fun, driving movies or fun, exhilarating movies and stuff like that. And it has great character moments. It's probably going to get some at least visual Oscars. I don't know where it's going to rank in like the best picture, best actor, stuff like that. But it's just another winner from James Mangold. It's another movie that just is good and entertaining, is fun, is just a great movie. So, but there you go. That is my take on Ford vs. Ferrari. Let me know in the comments below when you see it, what you think. Let me know what your favorite racing movie is, Days of Thunder or something like that. But otherwise, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. And of course, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. But otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of The Irishman, the newest Netflix original movie that's, of course, directed by Martin Scorsese, and it stars Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, Joe Pesci, Ray Romano, Harvey Keitel, Bobby Cannavale, Jesse Plemons, Anna Paquin, and Stephen Graham. So there's a lot to unpack in this movie. It's 3.5 hours long. It's very, very long, and it's definitely a Martin Scorsese movie. But the gist of this movie is The Irishman is about Frank Sheeran. And Frank Sheeran is a guy who was a meat delivery salesman. He meets a character played by Joe Pesci who plays Russell Buffalino, and they develop a relationship. It's similar to like Casino and Goodfellas. And he kind of raises himself up to the ranks and to the point where he meets Jimmy Hoffa and they develop a relationship. And of course, Jimmy Hoffa in this movie is played by Al Pacino. And it's a story basically that encapsulates this life of this guy who did a lot of bad things and then has a lot of regrets later on. And this is a movie that's pure Martin Scorsese. It's excess. It's very gangstery. It's just an interesting movie to watch because there's a lot of great storytelling going on. There's a lot of narration. There's just a lot of interesting performances. But the question really remains, is this a great Martin Scorsese movie? And for a Martin Scorsese film, absolutely. This is a great, fantastic film. It's just really long. I mean, when you're getting to the 2.5 hour mark and you're like, oh my gosh, there's still an hour left, it becomes like a kind of endurance test. But that's not a bad thing because Martin Scorsese has earned the right to do these types of films, whether it's on Netflix or with Paramount or whoever he works with, because he has created such iconic movies. He's created everything from Raging Bull to Goodfellas to Casino, goes on and so forth, Taxi Driver, so on and so forth. And this is a movie that if it was put in anybody else's hands, any director's hands, they would have told this director to cut down like, an hour of this movie, because there are moments in this movie where it just kind of meanders. It just kind of slowly goes with the character. You're literally like with a good portion of Frank Sheeran's life, and you're with a good portion of Jimmy Hoffa. And it just kind of wanders. There's not really a set motion and a set story in this. It just kind of follows these characters around, and that is what Martin Scorsese excels at, because it's just what he does well. And then he has Thelma Shoemaker, who edits his films. And I think Netflix went and told Martin Scorsese, you can do whatever you want. Just give us a movie that will, contend with the Oscars, that will be a great movie. Get whoever you want. And $175 million later, he got Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and Joe Pesci. And I'll tell you what, thank God Joe Pesci is back, because Joe Pesci is fantastic in this movie. He is just amazing to watch. He's back to his sinister feel. He does a lot of great things in this movie. He is menacing without really being menacing. He's not as bad as his character in Goodfellas, but he is just so much fun to watch, when you just see his character and his motivations, and he's kind of like a made man in some styles, and it's just fun how he reacts to everything, because we have a Robert De Niro who is kind of like his Casino character, where he's kind of at the mercy of these people, and he's a little meek behind it, but he's so much fun to watch. Robert De Niro has never been more fun than he is in this type of movie, because he really feels at home with this type of character and with this type of story. And that's what I love about this movie. And, Al Pacino is going to get an Oscar nomination because he knocks it out of the park as Jimmy Hoffa. He's doing Al Pacino-isms with, the really loud yelling and screaming, but he's almost more nuanced in this movie that it just makes it so unique. It's so much fun to watch. And Jimmy Hoffa was not a very good character. He's not a very good person. And to see that people kind of start slowly turning on him and the things he did to kind of upset people, it's really unique and really, really fun and really exciting and so on and so forth. So, then we got Ray Romano, and then we got Bobby Cannavale, who were kind of like the background characters. Ray Romano plays the lawyer. Bobby Cannavale plays the an owner of a restaurant that kind of gets involved. Harvey Keitel's in this movie, which is fantastic because he's not in it very long, but he's Harvey Keitel, so you're getting some good stuff. And just every character, Jesse Plemons pops up, and Paquin pops up. Stephen Graham is he kind of plays like the enemy of Jimmy Hoffa, who's also trying to become a Teamster and so on and so forth. But overall, this movie, like I said, it's a lot to deal with. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. But you kind of just have to go for the ride. You kind of have to go with each set piece and each moments. Robert De Niro, of course, is narrating, so you just kind of you get his views and ideas and opinions about what kind of happened in this world. There's moments where Jimmy Hoffa eventually disappears. There's moments where Jimmy Hoffa's really mad with the Kennedys. And it's just a really fascinating movie. It's definitely a gangster movie in sense, but it's not in sense. It's a very more or it's more of a drama with gangster elements. But everybody's just fantastic in the movie. And the movie, like the look and feel is it's beautiful. It goes from like the 50s, the 60s to the 70s, I think maybe to the 80s. One big thing about this movie, and the reason it cost so much money, is Martin Scorsese wanted to take Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, and Al Pacino and use the de-aging technology that has been used in a lot of movies, like Marvel movies, which is kind of funny because he hates Marvel. He doesn't hate them, but he thinks they're amusement rides and so on and so forth. That's a different story. And he has applied it to these characters. We see different facets of these characters' lives, and because the actors are of age, they're like in their 70s, he has used each character to de-age them to be in like their 50s or 40s or the 90s or 80s, and to varying degrees of use we get the different time frames. And this is interesting to me because Martin Scorsese has always been known for kind of pushing the boundaries of technology, which is really strange for Martin Scorsese. But if you look at Hugo, look at the 3D effects in that movie, and it's fantastic. And he really pushes the medium forward in interesting and visual ways. And he has done this here. There are moments in this movie where you swear to God, this is the Robert De Niro, this is the Joe Pesci, and this is the Al Pacino that you remember from the 90s and 2000s. It's pretty remarkable. And then there are other times where it's kind of off and weird and kind of creepy looking. There are moments with Joe Pesci when he's talking to Robert De Niro as a de-aging technology where it looks like you're talking to a CGI character and it's really off. And there are moments with Al Pacino and even Robert De Niro where things feel off. But for the most part, in the 3.5 hour runtime, it actually does work, and it does work well. And you can really feel the craft of Martin Scorsese and what he is doing with the tech. But I must admit, it's pretty impressive. It's just crazy. This movie cost $175 million, but it's all up there on the screen with all the the visuals and the set pieces and so on and so forth. Now, the problem with this movie, like I said, with it being 3.5 hours long, it's going to test people's endurance. It's going to test people's patience. When you get to the third act, which is really fascinating to watch, it gets to a point where some people are going to go, why am I still watching this movie? But yeah, like I said, it's a lot to unpack with the movie, but it's one of the best of the year. It's going to get a lot of Oscar buzz, probably a lot of Oscar nominations for all of its acting and picture and so on and so forth. I also give credit to Steve Zalian, who wrote the screenplay, because he's one of my favorite screenwriters. He wrote my favorite movie, Schindler's List, and he just sets the tone. It almost feels like he was writing for Scorsese instead of writing for himself, because the pieces and the parts and how people talk and how people act, it's just a nice balance of what Martin Scorsese is known for and how Steve Zalian writes characters. So, but yeah, there's not much more else outside of the music, which is actually more contained this time. There's not as much music as there would be, but you have to sparse it out. But yeah, It's dramatic, it's tense, and it is The Irishman. So definitely check it out if you like Martin Scorsese. I think you'll love it. I got to see it in theaters, which was cool too, even though it comes out on Netflix in a week or two. So, but there you go. That's my take on The Irishman. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and of course, comment below on any video that you watch. Let me know what your favorite Martin Scorsese movie is. That's all I have. Let me know what you're excited about with this movie. If you've seen it, cool. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. Guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Jojo Rabbit, the newest film from director Taika Waititi. He also stars in the movie. It also stars Roman Griffin Davis, Thomasin McKenzie, Scarlett Johansson, Sam Rockwell, Alfie Allen, Rebel Wilson, Stephen Merchant, and introducing as well Archie Yates. So when I heard about Jojo Rabbit, I thought the movie was gonna be absurd. I'm like, this movie's going to be very controversial. It's going to, get a lot of people upset because it deals with a kid who has an imaginary friend who is Hitler, of course. And so I just figured this movie was just going to be all kinds of controversial. But what this movie is doing and what this movie is saying is so much more than that controversy. This is a movie about a kid who's kind of like a brainwashed kid in this essence of he lives in Germany and he is, in essence, a supporter of Hitler. It's very about culturalism and about, nationalism, about being proud of your country. And these people live in Germany. So of course the kid's going to be all over Hitler. Hitler's a rock star, people love him. And it shows at the very beginning in Beatles style fashion that he is a rock star. The thing is about this movie that I knew from the trailers, but didn't really kind of see coming, is this movie is more than that nationalism. It's more than the idea of who you love and who your stars and who your idols are. It's a movie about humanism. It's a movie about people who don't see eye to eye, who think different things, and in the end, they see eye to eye. They realize they're the same people, Jewish people and German people and Japanese people and American people, Russian, so on and so forth. It's a movie about cultures and how cultures affect the ideas and ideologies of people. You can go back to centuries and upon centuries about, just how the human condition works and how it reacts to certain scenarios. And that's exactly what's happening to Roman David Griffin's character, Jojo. He's a kid who is very for the Nazi regime. He wants to be a Nazi. He wants to fight the enemies. He believes the Jews are the bad people, as the Germans did, unfortunately, in this time and era. But he's a scared kid. He's a kid. He's 10 years old. He doesn't know the world. His mom, who's played by Scarlett Johansson, kind of is trying to make him understand that maybe what his beliefs are, maybe what he is thinking is not necessarily true. And it's a fascinating look at that style of story. But, we get a character played by Thomasin McKenzie who plays, I think, Ilsa, I think it was her name. And she's Jewish and she's hiding out in Jojo's house thanks to Scarlett Johansson's character. And you really see this, actually, before I continue, this story actually reminds me a lot of Flag of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. You're seeing both sides where people are believing what the government will tell them or what society will tell them. And it's when they kind of meet in the middle. I think it happens in Flags of Our Fathers and Letters from Iwo Jima. You see people who are connected in the idea that maybe war isn't the right thing, that maybe the problems are more than the two sides. And that's the same thing that's happening here between Ilsa and Jojo, is they're finally starting to see the ideas and ideologies that, maybe Jewish people aren't bad, maybe some German people aren't bad, not all Japanese people are bad, not all Americans are bad. It's a story about, like I said, the human condition. But I really just love this movie. I love what it's doing. I love the fact that Jojo has to be shown, has to be told about what is a Jewish person, about how it affects the ideas. Let's say this role was reversed with Jojo and Ilsa was the German, and so on and so forth. You really feel the uncomfortableness of what he is believing. And it takes a person like Ilsa, who is Jewish, to kind of make him understand that maybe his problems are more than just him believing in his culture. And they're both they're so simpatico, and they're so good at portraying these roles that it's just fantastic. Roman Griffith Davies in this movie is utterly fantastic. He's like a revelation in this movie, and the best part about this movie, because his wonderment, his realization, his things that he has seen, the chaotic nature, the uncomfortableness, the violence, the way things are rolling out to him, the way his mother's trying to, mold him. It's just beautiful to watch. He is so good in his lens. We are seeing it through his lens, and it's just an amazing thing to watch. And it's like Taika Waititi knows how to work with kids. He's some of the best child actor directors I've ever seen in my entire life. You look at Hunt for the Wilderness People, and it's fantastic. And he is so good in this role as Jojo. You see his transformation from German sympathizer to the eventually Jewish sympathizer. And there's some things that are very traumatic that happen in this movie to him, and it's fantastic to watch. Though heartbreaking and though really disturbing, it's really fun to see how he interacts. And like I said, his imaginary friend is, of course, Adolf Hitler. And you kind of think that's like absurd, and it really is. The way Taika Waititi is playing Adolf Hitler is really kind of absurd. He's like flamboyant and goofy and all over the place. But the idea of why it's his invisible friend is kind of makes sense, because when you idolize someone, when you have that much passion towards something, it's really, really fascinating to watch how he interacts with Hitler, because it's technically his self-conscious trying to take in everything. When we find Ilsa and the cupboards and stuff like that, he's trying to kind of comprehend the whole situation, and it's just wonderful to watch. But there's so many good character moments in here. Scarlett Johansson should get, honestly, my opinion, should get an Oscar nomination for this role. She is utterly fantastic as a mom. She is aloof, she is goofy, but she's serious when she needs to be serious, and she's just beautiful to watch. And this is some of the best acting I've ever seen Scarlett Johansson do. Even better than maybe Lost in Translation, because she is just, you really feel her as a mother, but you can kind of see the underlying factors of who she is and what she is doing, which is a good person. She's doing what Tom Cruise did in Valkyrie, where she's actually trying to change something. She's trying to protect her son, and it's just a beautiful role, and she's really fantastic. And then you have Sam Rockwell and Alfie Allen, who are playing Nazi people, but they're kind of like disgraced people. And when you find out why that is, it's really fascinating to watch, in essence of just how goofy they are and what kind of characters they are. But they are still fantastic. I think Alfie Allen's one of the standout characters in this movie, just because of how funny he is, how his mannerisms, he doesn't really talk in the movie, but it's really, really funny. And Sam Rockwell is just Sam Rockwell. He's a great character actor. He's really coming to his own in the last 20 years, and it's a fun role to see. There's also Stephen Merchant comes in. He's a kind of Gestapo guy, and he's really funny. His cool moments when he's in the movie, which is not very long, it's like 5-10 minutes at the most, it's really memorable. But that's Stephen Merchant. He's always memorable. So, and then of course Rebel Wilson's doing Rebel Wilson, so there's nothing really to talk about there, but she's really funny as usual. But the one other character I wanted to talk about is Archie Yates, who plays Yorkie, which is Jojo's best friend. He's like a simpleton character, but he is so fascinating to watch because he's so human and so adorable in how he acts. Yeah, he's like sympathizing with the Nazis like Jojo's doing, but to see his character arc, he's kind of like the goofy, like over the top character arc that you see in movies, but he's so much fun. He's like also another revelation of just fun, kind of like Josh Gad in a way, but more just simple and more just like doe-eyed. And it's just funny to see when he's in the scenes that he's in. He has a lot of great funny moments and so on and so forth. So I just want to give him a lot of credit. But the overall movie is just, it's so emotional, and everything it's trying to do. You're laughing uncomfortably a lot of times because of the nature of what this film is set in. But you also get those dramatic moments. You also get those emotional moments when, the Jojo character has to deal with the situations of, World War II. It's just, it's so emotionally draining. It's more than I was ever expecting from, Taika Waititi. It almost feels like a Wes Anderson movie wrapped in like a Life is Beautiful type movie, which I know a lot of people don't like Life is Beautiful, but it has that feel, and it has also the feel of Wes Anderson in the fact of just how he shoots and how he lights and how he moves with the camera and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, this movie is just, it's wonderful. It's disturbing when it needs to be, but it's hilarious when it needs to be, and it's absurd. And I give a lot of credit for having the balls that Taika Waititi has in this movie, because only him and maybe a few other people would do this, because the subject matter and the idea of what is going on in World War II Nazi Germany is very, very disturbing and graphic and uncomfortable, but he somehow makes it work. and it's gonna go up in one of my favorites of the year, at least at this moment, because there are a lot of movies coming out that I haven't seen yet. But yeah, that's my take on Jojo Rabbit. It's definitely a recommend. There's some really cool songs that they've from like the Beatles and David Bowie, I think it was, where they turn it into like the German version. And the way he shots and everything's about it is just amazing. It leaves you in tears as well as laughing. So, but yeah, that's it. That's my take on Jojo Rabbit. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen the movie. Let me know what you think about it. Also, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. Of course, comment below on any video to watch my channel. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Joker, the newest film in the DC, whatever you want to call it, universe. It's directed by Todd Phillips and it stars Joaquin Phoenix, Robert De Niro, Zazie Beetz, Francis Conroy, Brent Cullen, Glenn Fleshler, Shea Wiggum, and Bill Camp. So, this was an interesting movie experience. It's one that I had never seen before. So I get there really early because I know this movie's going to be packed. There's going to be a lot of reserved space. I waited 5 hours. I got wristbanded. And top of that, we're getting wanded. There's security there, which is normal. We, not the wanding thing, but the security. 3 or 4 security guards. This type of movie, that's not surprising. There was a lot of security. I think there was like 9 security officers and 2 actual armed guards there. This movie has created such a mass hysteria that it is almost uncomfortable to watch. There is no reason for this much security. I'm glad it was there because you always want to be protected, especially in this day and age. But be aware, when you go see this movie, Joker, there will be security there. There will be armed guards there. They will check your ticket at the door. So be aware. It's going to happen. That's the way it has to be. With that said, let's talk about Joker. So Joker is an interesting movie. It's a movie that is not really seen a lot anymore. It's a very gritty, very uncomfortable movie to watch. It looks like it could take place in the 70s or 80s based on how it's set. Even though it doesn't signify that it takes place in the 80s, it really looks like an 80s movie with like Taxi Driver and all that stuff. And it's about this character named Arthur Fleck. Arthur Fleck is a character with a lot of mental issues. His actually main mental issue is his laugh, which he can't control. And it's kind of sad to see this laugh because it's something that is really unsettling, really interesting, and really dark. But it's fascinating. It's a character trait, a character moment that is really, really kind of unique. And you don't see that a lot of times. You see characters of the Joker itself who doesn't really have a backstory. He's an agent of chaos, but he doesn't have a history. There's nothing there. It's just a character. And here we get a character that has a mother who is, bedridden. She lives at home. He takes care of her. Francis Conroy is actually really pretty good in this movie. And he has nothing else besides his clown and his, stand-up. He is mistreated by his coworkers. He's mistreated by the people on the streets. And it leads down this dark alleyway or this dark dimension of a character who just, sees everything coming towards him and he's going to react the way he does. And that's what makes this movie just so uncomfortable and so gritty to watch. And when it gets violent, it's very visceral because you can see why this character is going to go down these routes and dark alleyways and all that good stuff. Well, he meets a character named Zazie Beetz. Zazie Beetz is his next door neighbor and they kind of hit it off. They become friends, maybe a little bit of a love interest, that type of scenario. And he's really obsessed with this character played by Robert De Niro, who plays like the late night Johnny Carson. And you see that his world just kind of revolve around these characters, and everything that he tries to do, it just seems like it backfires on him, and just how he reacts, when his laughing gets uncontrollable. It's just, you feel so sad for him, and it's really strange because it's a character, especially how his character reacts as it later goes on. It's somebody you shouldn't really root for. You shouldn't have a character like this where it's something that you really feel sad and just depressed for. But the thing that makes this movie the movie that it is not the side characters. Yes, they kind of come into Arthur Fleck's life and, how they react to him and so on and so forth. It's the performance of Joaquin Phoenix in this movie. This movie is elevated to a level I've never really seen before. Joaquin Phoenix is so good in this movie that if he doesn't win the Oscar for Best Actor, it's going to be kind of like a crime against nature because it's a mesmerizing performance. This is why Joaquin Phoenix is one of the best character actors living today, because he's so good at what he does. And you've seen what he has done in the past with like Gladiator, Walk the Line, or The Master. He's a guy that really gets into his role, his character, and you really see it here. You know, he lost a lot of weight, like in The Machinist, you know, with Christian Bale. When he does his ticks, you really, really believe that he's like that. When he puts on his makeup, you see him transform. When you see him just do things, you really see a guy, a character that is not an actor anymore. You see a methodical method actor, just good at what he does. It's amazing. It makes it like where you just want to watch him for 2 hours and not anybody else. You just want a black screen to watch what Joaquin Phoenix can do. And it's incredible, you know. It also helps that Todd Phillips is going into some material that he's not used to doing. You know, he's used to doing stuff like The Hangover or War Dogs or stuff like that. And this is just a new avenue for him. This is kind of like Adam McKay doing The Big Short. You really have a sense that they have a idea and kind of a story to tell. And there are some things that are very prescient in this movie with how society is treated on, you know, the lower middle class and how, you know, everybody reacts to that. And Thomas Wayne, who's played by Brett Cullen, I think is a little unfairly put into the villainous role because you're kind of rooting for Arthur Fleck, but he seems kind of a jerk. He's a guy that is a politician, so he's kind of putting a frontal face, which is what a lot of politicians do. And it just makes it, because I always thought of, you know, Bruce Wayne's father as a guy who was really trying to help people. And that's not always going to be the story for his character, but you really get a sense because maybe it's, you know, Christopher Nolan and Batman Begins all that's fault. But I always felt that he was a better person than what he's portrayed in here is just not a very good person. But with that said, and I'll leave it at this. This is a role for the ages for Joaquin Phoenix. This is something unique. The sad fact that we're having to deal with the other situation with, you know, armed guards and so on and so forth really does hamper the fact of how good Joaquin Phoenix's performance. You know, there's people who are going to watch him and want to be like him. And that's just really sad. Whether it comes to fruition or not is a different story. But, you know, like I said, this is a movie that you're going to be uncomfortable with. A lot of people are going to be split down the middle or split on the sides on whether they really like it or really hate it. But it's a movie I feel that does a lot with one character and does it with a character that is so despicable in the DC universe that you just grow to love him. You know, think about Heath Ledger, think about Jack Nicholson, Mark Hamill, you know, Cesar Romero. There's such a great spectrum of the same exact character, and they're doing it with such different, you know, unique talents. When you go, you know, for instance, Cesar Romero, who's a very campy Joker, to this character who's a very larger than life, very uncomfortable, dark, seedy character. It's really fascinating. Like I said, Joaquin Phoenix steals the movie. He's the best part about this movie. He just lifts this movie into some interesting territory that the Joker is. This is going to be up there with Heath Ledger. I think it might be better than Heath Ledger. I don't know at this point. I had to see it again. But anyways, that is my take of Joker. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Joker when you do see it, because I know a billion of you guys are going to see this movie when it comes out. It's going to make $155 million apparently. So anyways, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. And of course, comment below on any video you watch on my channel. Otherwise, see you guys on the next video. Peace out. And welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the umpteenth adaptation of Little Women, the newest film from director Greta Gerwig, and it stars Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Eliza Scanlon, Timothée Chalamet, Laura Dern, Louis Garrel, Chris Cooper, Tracy Letts, Bob Odenkirk, and Meryl Streep. So this story of Little Women, unfortunately, like I said, I've never read it or seen any of the movies, but it's, you know, it's written by Louisa May Alcott. And it's considered a classic and a genre-defining novel based on the fact that it deals with 4 headstrong women who live in a poverty-stricken world. Like I said, I've heard the book's great. I've heard the Winona Ryder adaptation is really good, but I've also heard like many other adaptations are really good of this book. But I just never have seen them because it's never something that's interested me. But when they brought Greta Gerwig, who had done Lady Bird, I got extremely excited because she is a fantastic writer. She's a fantastic director. You know, she brought back Saoirse Ronan and Timothée Chalamet, who were both in those movies. And it's just, I don't know. There was something interesting about this movie. And I heard that there's some little different takes on it. There's some kind of a wraparound story that's not in the book. And from everything I've gathered from what I see in this story, it's basically the story about 4 young girls, very headstrong girls who are very close together. They live poverty stricken. They live with their mom, who is played by Laura Dern, and they love each other. They do things for each other, but they have their differences. Saoirse Ronan, who plays Jo, is kind of the main character in this movie, and she's a writer. She's very inventive, but she's kind of wanting to be her own person. And then we got Meg, who is played by Emma Watson, who more is of a traditional woman, like where she wants to have a family and have kids and so on and so forth. We have Amy, who's played by Florence Pugh, who kind of wants to get past the fact that she's poverty stricken, so she wants a rich person, or like to marry a rich person. And then we have Beth, who's played by Eliza Scanlon, who is the kind of the character that everybody rotates around. She's kind of simple, but she's a good natured character, and she has the most character kind of arc outside of Jo. And then, of course, we have Lawrence, who is played by Timothée Chalamet, who's kind of like the young guy who comes from a kind of a rich family. His grandfather is played by Chris Cooper, but he kind of becomes kind of attracted to Jo because of how different she is. But he loves all the girls together, and it really kind of shows. And like I said, I don't really know much about the story, but if the story is what Greta Gerwig is showing me and what I saw, this story is fantastic. The whole idea of these characters kind of going day by day, they have their little ticks, they have their little interesting moments, and they're kind of given like just equal screen time. And it's just a fantastic look at just life in the poverty-stricken world of, I think this was like the 1800s or maybe early 1900s. Bob Odenkirk, who plays the father of these young girls, he's off into a war, so they're always hearing like letters from him and stuff like that. It's just a really fun movie. It's a really interesting movie. You can tell this is a movie that was, or the story was written way back in the day in the 1800s when Alcott was alive. And it's just a really fascinating look at just these characters and how the story plays out. There's very emotional moments. There's moments where, you really get invested with them and things happen and you kind of cry, or you get excited, or you get laugh, so on and so forth. And that's all because of Alcott, but it's also because of Greta Gerwig, who's just a fantastic writer. When you're adapting a book that's a classic like this, that's been adapted so many times, you want to kind of add your own spin on it, and that's what Greta Gerwig has done. There's a lot of times where people complain about the fact that a lot of women in movies are always there because they're servicing the guy in essence of the story. But here we have the guys are, in service of the women, who are very headstrong and very, for themselves. And yeah, they want, lives, and they want husbands and so on and so forth. But when you have a character like the character Saoirse Ronan is playing, who's played Jo, she's a different archetype of a woman that we don't see very often. And I really like that about this movie. And I think it's fascinating. I think it's awesome. And it just plays really well on screen. I think the character that really kind of interests me the most in this movie is Amy, who's played by Florence Pugh. I think if I read right and I see on the screen, she's fantastic. She is kind of the standout. It's just the way she plays her character, the way she acts, the way she interacts with her sisters, the ticks and kind of the things she does and how she plays the part. She does some stuff that really upsets Jo, and then she does some stuff that, is just very simple but very kind of kinetic to watch. And that's what makes Florence Pugh such a great actress, is not only is she doing a great role in this movie, but she also is great in Midsummer. She was great in Fighting My Family. And it's just, she's coming to her own as an actress that's very dependable and doing great jobs with the great roles that she's giving. But it's a fantastic role that she has in this movie. And like I said, Emma Watson's fantastic. Eliza Scanlon is probably the one actress that doesn't get as much, but it's probably because of the way she's written in the book. Other characters in this, we got like Timothée Chalamet is fantastic. We got Chris Cooper, who is really fantastic this year. He's been in this, and then he's had A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And I love that Chris Cooper is kind of coming back as kind of a force of fun to watch, because he's so different than what you're used to seeing him in. And of course, Laura Dern and Bob Odenkirk they're good. They're there to service the purpose of the mother and the father, so they do their job properly, and they're always good. And Bob Odenkirk, when he comes on, you love seeing him. And same thing with Laura Dern, and so on and so forth. And then Tracy Letts comes in as the book author in this movie, and he's Tracy Letts, so if you know him, he's very fantastic at whatever he does. Meryl Streep, on the other hand, is just beautiful. I mean, Meryl Streep there's not much you can say that hasn't been said before. She's an actress that is of uncanny caliber I've ever seen. Her demeanor and her unflinching attitude towards her family is some of the funniest moments in the movie. She is just like very evil and very mean. She always like tears down her family because she's very rich, and she's like, you have to get a really rich husband, and she calls her, her granddaughter's just kind of scum and all that stuff. And it's really like, when you watch it, it's really funny to see her take on a role as kind of like Devil Wears Prada in a way, but just not as mean and uncomfortable. But Meryl Streep is just chewing up scenery in here, and it's just fantastic. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is Greta Gerwig herself. Like I said in the beginning, Lady Bird's a fantastic film. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. There is something special about this director. She is just outstanding at everything she does. You go back and watch Lady Bird, you go back and watch any script that she's ever written. She has a way of writing fantastic female characters, as well as male characters, but female characters in general. She gives them a power, she gives them a prowess, she gives them a just fantastic look and fantastic feel, and just a kind of headstrong, character moments. And yeah, it's because of, Alcott in her book, but Greta Gerwig has just formatted this movie into something truly kind of special. And then on top of that, she's a director, so she has to film the movie, and that's where she also truly succeeds, because you look at the visuals, you look at the camera work, you look at the costuming, you just look at the way it's shot. It's just a beautiful film. It just looks gorgeous. It's just well done. It's going to get probably a lot of Oscar nominations just for those alone, from like the writing to the cinematography to the sets to the costuming. Greta Gerwig is just she's just so good at what she does, and it just shows once again just why she does what she does and does it so well. And she's just built this world that could be ham-fisted, it could be cheap, it could be another just adaptation of a classic novel, but she has found a way to hit it out of the park. And doing that wraparound story, like I said, that she does in this movie, kind of gives it more of a unique feel than a lot of other stories. So I give a lot of credit to Greta Gerwig. It's fantastic what she did, and I really respect her for that. And I hope she continues doing great work, because this is her second film that she's directed, and it's beautiful to watch, at least, and as well as a good movie in general. So, but anyways, that'll do it. Also, I should say the music's really good in this movie too. But yeah, so that'll do it. That's my take on Little Women. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, of course, hit the subscribe button. Join Movie Emporium. Comment below. Tell me what you think of Little Women in general. Let me know in the DMs kind of like what movie I should watch. Should I watch the Winona Ryder version? Should I watch another version? I'm interested in the story now, because it looks fun if I see another version of it, and I'd be interested to read the book. So, but anyways, subscribe to Movie Emporium, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and of course comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. But otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the Netflix original movie Marriage Story, the newest film from director Noah Baumbach, and it stars Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, Laura Dern, Ray Liotta, Alan Arkin, Julie Haggerty, Merritt Wever, and Wallace Shawn. So, Marriage Story is, in essence, the dissolution of a marriage. It's not actually about the marriage itself, but the end of the marriage. And it stars Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson as Charlie and Nicole. Basically, Scarlett Johansson's kind of the crux of this movie. She has basically gotten tired of Charlie himself. Charlie is basically a guy who's kind of self-absorbed. He's a little abusive in the nature of how he kind of talks down to Nicole's character. But he's a great father. He's still a great husband, but he's just not there. He's still committed to his work, trying to get his play on Broadway. He ends up winning the MacArthur grant. He's just very into his work, but he doesn't give time to his family. So Scarlett Johansson's kind of tired of it. They're going to take a break. Well, Scarlett Johansson is basically given the availability to basically go film a TV pilot in LA. So she takes her son. She, hangs out with her mom, who's played by Julie Haggerty. And she basically discovers maybe she just needs to stay out here. Maybe it's just finally the time to just get the divorce and be done with it, which just completely throws out Adam Driver, even though they talked about doing it without lawyers and so on and so forth. In the process, she meets a character played by Laura Dern, who is this shark-style lawyer. She's very good at what she does, but she's very expensive. And she basically convinces Scarlett Johansson to basically try and go for what it's worth, try and get everything from Charlie. And so it becomes this basically bitter divorce battle where Adam Driver's Charlie character has to find a lawyer who, unfortunately, he settles with the Ray Liotta character. And basically, it shows a couple who are really trying to be there with their son, but don't have different views about what that needs to be. And Charlie ends up almost being the bad guy because he's so focused on his stuff that he has the most growth through the movie. And it really just does show about how sad and how hard and how effective and how affecting battles can be with divorce, and especially when it has involves a kid. And Noah Baumbach's been a very interesting director writer to me. I haven't liked a lot of his stuff. It's just because it's just not my cup of tea. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not what I look for. But I do love Squid and the Whale, which is very similar to this movie about legal battles of divorce and the people that are affected around them. But it's 2019, and this movie is, what can I say? It's fantastic. It's well written. It's an excellent movie. It's a very hard movie. I'm going to put it up there with Waves as one of the toughest movies I've seen this year. It's just a movie that deals with a lot of deep, dark, sad subject matter that it takes a lot to watch. It drains you, and you have to go watch a Christmas movie or a fun comedy. It's just the way it is. And so we have this movie about a couple and who are trying to be there but can't do it. And to watch the transformation of Charlie, to watch the transformation of Nicole, to see them kind of go the opposite direction of who they are, this movie is just bonkers and how good it is. And bonkers is probably a poor choice of words, but there are scenes in this movie, especially dealing with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, that are like another level of acting. There's an apartment sequence in this movie where the couple basically just kind of throw everything out into the wind, and it is some of the most brutal acting I've seen this year. The way the acting, the way Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are playing off each other, the raw emotion, the tears, the hate-filled anger that comes out is just, it gives you chills. It gives you a sense of just sadness, and it just gives you a sense of what happens when a couple just falls apart and the people around them that affect how that works out. And there's other sequences. There's a sequence with Scarlett Johansson and Laura Dern where Scarlett Johansson basically lays everything out about what her relationship with her husband was about. And they basically, Noah Baumbach just basically focuses on Scarlett Johansson's character for probably a good 5 minutes, and she goes on this emotional journey that basically just, I was not prepared for, and it is emotionally raw and emotionally saddening and just emotionally almost cathartic for everyone who's watching this, because you're watching a character who's just has never been able to be open because of how her husband has kind of been putting her down. It's amazing to watch, and it's some of the best acting I've ever seen Scarlett Johansson do in her entire life. And that's just this movie in a nutshell. Laura Dern, Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson are probably going to get Oscar nominations. At least Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson are definitely getting Oscar nominations. I would honestly say, if it were just me personally, I would give Adam Driver the Oscar. I know a lot of people are looking for Joaquin Phoenix to get the Oscar, but Adam Driver is just, the guy is just really good at what he does. There's not been a movie that I've seen in a long time from him that he hasn't been great or excelled in. There's another movie called The Report, which unfortunately I haven't seen, but I heard he's great in. He's a guy that can do anything and everything. He can show every type of emotion, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch. Scarlett Johansson is just, it's outside of Lost in Translation, this is the best thing she's ever done. And it really proves that how good of an actor, how good, versatile of an actress she really is. And just, I mean, what can you say? The other actors and actresses in the movie are also good. Julie Haggerty's, Julie Haggerty, ever since seen, from Airplane. Laura Dern is fantastic. Ray Liotta is slimy as usual, and he's great in it. And it's just, Noah Baumbach just has created something wholly satisfying, but sad and deeply moving. And to watch this movie play out, it's fantastic. So, that's pretty much all I have to say on it. Like I said, it's going to be a very difficult 2019 with my list. I want to put this in my top 10, but how do you do that? I don't know. I'm going to leave that for my top 10 list. I don't know. Anyways, that'll do it. That's my take on Marriage Story. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this movie. If you've seen it, definitely do not watch this in waves back to back, because you probably will never want to leave your room ever again because you'll be crying so much. But anyways, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. Of course, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. Otherwise, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the ninth film from Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So this has a big cast. Of course, I'm going to read it down. It has Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Timothy Olyphant, Al Pacino, Luke Perry, Kurt Russell, Mike Moe. And so what I'm going to do is try and keep this as spoiler-free as possible. The only things I'm going to hint on are in the trailer, as well as I'm going to tell you about performances. So the basic storyline is this. It takes place in late 1969. It deals with Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Rick Dalton, who is this well-known actor, but he's kind of on his last leg. He's given these small bit parts as the heavy, which is basically the villain of the whatever. And he has his friend who is Cliff Booth, who is played by Brad Pitt. He's his trusty steed. He is a stuntman. He's a guy that's been with Rick Dalton for a long time. Because of stuff in Cliff Booth's past, he doesn't do a lot of work and so on and so forth. But you see a lot of their interactions together and you get their kind of story. And then you got the other side, and you got the Sharon Tate character and her kind of rise to Hollywood with Roman Polanski, and the eventual what happens with Sharon Tate. So we're getting that story, we're getting this story, and we're getting everything in between. And to me personally, this is not the best Quentin Tarantino movie, but this is still a great Quentin Tarantino movie. Quentin Tarantino in general is a really good writer, a really good director. He's had his issues, but in essence, he's really good at what he does. And this movie does a lot of what I call meandering, where stuff is just kind of shot and just kind of moves forward. You kind of follow the characters. There's no real structure to it. You're kind of following the lives of 1969's Hollywood. And that makes it kind of fun and kind of unique. You're not necessarily always going to be with one character all the time or another. You get to see the life of an actor, the life of what happens to with a stuntman when he's no longer valuable. You get to see an actress who's upcoming and rising. And you get to see all these other characters, all these famous people, like Steve McQueen and Bruce Lee and all these people. And, it's that type of movie. There's just a lot of stuff going on, but not a lot to kind of give it a story structure, which is interesting because Quentin Tarantino always has somewhat of a structure, even though he goes out of place. Like you look at Pulp Fiction or Jackie Brown, there is a story structure there, even though it's kind of in jagged pieces. Here, it almost feels like Quentin Tarantino just wanted to do a film about Hollywood, his favorite period of Hollywood, which was in the late 60s, early 70s. And it's just kind of a fun thing to watch. It has a lot of Tarantino's dialogue. It has a lot of his language, it has a lot of his shots. There's a lot of times where you're following behind in a car. You see the two, people driving, and there's just like long shots of that. And it's like I said, it's very Quentin Tarantino-esque. It has a lot of Quentin Tarantino-esque moments, and it's just fun. But the thing that makes this movie stand out, of course, is always the acting. Is how do these actors drive a Quentin Tarantino vehicle? And it's once again a perfect cast. I mean, everybody in this movie is perfectly cast in their roles. Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are going to get Oscar nominations. If they don't, it's mind-boggling that they don't. Leonardo DiCaprio is at his best. Leonardo DiCaprio is one of those actors that has done so much for so long that a movie like this would be a breakout role for just any actor. But it's just like another Leonardo DiCaprio role that shows how good he is. And it's the same thing with Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt, this would be a breakout role for any actor, and is Brad Pitt doing actually something different and really cool. And Brad Pitt is just amazing in this movie, but Leonardo DiCaprio is the standout. There's this one scene where this little girl that I'm not going to spoil that is absolutely astounding and just straight up mesmerizing to watch. And there's a lot of stuff like that, but that one scene, when you get to it, is just fantastic. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's beautiful, and really shows the range of what Leonardo DiCaprio does in this movie. But Margot Robbie, like I said, is in this movie. She's fun, she's entertaining to watch, but she's more of like the other side where you don't see a whole lot, but you kind of get her gist of who she is. Like I said, she was married and was having a kid with Roman Polanski before all that stuff happened to her. But Margot Robbie's just a fantastic actress and does a lot of good stuff here, and she has a lot of fun with what she is doing. And then you have all the other characters. Like I said, Mike Moe, who is playing Bruce Lee, is fantastic. He is a couple scenes that he has, and Kurt Russell comes in, and everybody that's ever been in a Quentin Tarantino movie is in this movie, and then Al Pacino has a lot of fun stuff. But you're really just focusing on these three characters, and that's what makes it work. That's what makes it just perfectly cast. I really enjoy Inglourious Basterds more than this movie because I think that's a more well-rounded movie. Because sometimes the meandering can get a little much, but like I said, you're gonna love this movie, especially if you're a Quentin Tarantino fan. You're also gonna love this movie if you love great acting. You'll see what I see, and some people may not like it because of what it does, but the way it plays out, the way it's structured, the music, this is shot by Robert Richardson, who does a fantastic job with the cinematography. This really feels like they gave Quentin Tarantino carte blanche, which they've pretty much always done, but this is his chance to kind of show you what he thinks of Hollywood and what it involves, because it involves around the Sharon Tate stuff. So anyways, like I said, it's fantastic. Everybody's having fun, and it's a fun movie. It really is. It's a a Tarantino movie, so you know what you're getting, but for Tarantino, it's one of his more enjoyable movies. So but that's it. That's my take on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button at the top, and comment below on your favorite Tarantino movie. I'd be interested to know. Like I said, mine's Inglourious Basterds. I know a lot of people's Pulp Fiction, which is fine. But otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Parasite, the newest film from director Bong Joon-ho, and it stars Kang Ho-sung, Yao Zhang-zhou, So-dam Park, Wo-sik Choi, Sung Kyo-lin, Ji So-jung, Zhang Yu-li, and Hei Zhen-zhang. So Parasite is the critical darling. It's getting critically lauded all over the place. It's a movie that has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, and is a movie I've been anticipating for a long time. Unfortunately, with movies like this, the release schedule is completely off the wall. It's all over the place. Certain markets got it weeks ago. Certain markets are going to get it from weeks from now. I got it today, which is November 1st. And so I was excited. I wanted to see it. And it's an interesting movie. It's not the hype that I was expecting. It's actually a little more straightforward than I was expecting. But it does have Bong Joon's, it has his, fingerprints all over it. With the fact that it deals with social structure and social class. It has some interesting moments. I just don't think it's the greatest thing ever made. I think it's interesting. I still think it's a good movie. I just don't think it lives up to the potential of what the film festivals have been saying. And there's nothing wrong with people liking this movie. There's nothing people saying this is the greatest movie ever. That's people's opinion. But the movie is like his other films in a lot of ways. Okja is about class struggle. Snowpiercer is definitely about class struggle. The Host is a great horror film. I love The Host. But he has a certain way of storytelling, and it's not a movie that I was particularly as enthralled with as some people. So the basic storyline of Parasite, it's actually a lot more simple than I thought it was going to be, because I thought this was going to be a very complex thriller. Basically, this family is very poor. The father is he lost his job. They have no money. They can't really provide for themselves. One day, the son of this family meets his friend who he hasn't seen for a while, and his friend tells him about this family and that this family needs a tutor. So I thought it was going to get into some weird dynamics of just like how creepy and crazy and how it's just, I thought this movie was going to be a lot different than what I thought it was. But basically, it's about a family integrating themselves into this rich family and kind of living in this world of, uber fanciness and, high end stuff and so on and so forth. So it's a very much a class struggle type of thing, or a class economics type of movie. And you start to see how the poor are just really mistreated by the rich. And, there's a lot of just issues and, a lot of, stuff and problems in this movie. But with that said, the movie is beautifully shot. It's gorgeous. There are some scenes in here where it's Oscar worthy just to begin with. The acting is phenomenal. The characters are doing their part, and they're doing it really well. Some of these characters have worked with Bong Joon-ho before, which is really interesting because you really see like kind of a good chemistry with them in front of the screen. And just like when it starts to get into like the revelations and kind of the twists and turns of where this movie's headed, it does have an interesting, tense nature to it. And there's a third act scene where it just completely just unfolds on itself and the things just explode on itself, and just it's an interesting look, but it's just not as good as I was hoping. And it's such a shame because Bong Joon-ho, like I said, is a fantastic director, and he has a lot of stuff to say in these movies, and he does it really well, and it does work to a degree in this movie. But like I said, when the thing I've always noticed about film festival movies and people at film festivals is the hype behind movies kind of can be a little overhypeness. So, for instance, like with say Parasite or Knives Out or any of these movies, Moonlight, for instance, they play at Venice Film Festival or the Toronto Film Festival, and they get all this hype. Joker was this a great example of this, where they get like so many awards, so many accolades, so many blah blah blah, whatever and whatnot. And then it finally releases to the public, and the critics and the normal people get to see it, or the normal human beings are that aren't critics, and the kind of layers of what you see, the honeymoon phase of these movies kind of wears away, and then we finally see the true nature of these films, and 99 times out of 100 it doesn't live up to the hype. And it's not saying that movies aren't bad or these movies aren't good. It's just they're not what we were expecting. I think we overhype ourselves when we see these movies, and that's the problem with Parasite. Is there's a lot of people who are going to live up to the hype and love this movie to death, but most people like myself are gonna watch this and go, "Yeah, it's all right. It's not at all what I was expecting. It's not as good as I was expecting," and it can be a shame of just anything in nature. But like I said, the score is pretty good. Movie's a lot more funny than I expected, but overall, I'm not a big fan of it as much as most people are. I still enjoy it, but it's not as good as I was hoping, and it does have subtitles too. So, but yeah, there you go. That is my take on Parasite. Let me know in the comments below when you see this movie, or if you ever are going to see this movie. Tell me what you think of it. If you love it, perfect. I'm glad for you. If you don't, tell me why as well. But otherwise, hit the subscribe button, join Movie Emporium, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. And of course, comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. But otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these two videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
What's up, everyone? That froze a little bit. I apologize for that. What's up, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to the Oscars, the 2020 Oscar nominations prediction show, whatever you want to call it. I'm really excited that you guys are here to listen and observe and, have fun with this and all that good stuff. It's a big night, as it usually is. The Oscars are the top dog of the nomination world, of the movie world. It's just a fun time, It's a fun time to watch these people get nominated and win Oscars. I don't agree with some of the nominations, but we'll get to that as we go through the list a little bit. So it's been a big year for movies. It really has. Like I said in most of my reviews, 2019 was a huge year for movies in general, for everybody that watched movies. There's so many movies that could have been in the top 10. There was. The list were so different. People had everything from Joker to 1917 to Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker to just any movie you can think of. The beginning of the year was a pretty crazy, slow crapshoot of a year, and then all of a sudden it picked up right after, I think, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out and the Avengers Endgame came out. And it was a good time. It really was. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun watching movies last year, and it was like my first real full year of doing Movie Emporium. So, and then on top of that, today I broke 400 subscribers. That's awesome. I'm excited by that. I don't usually like to gloat, but it's a big deal. And then I just had a video past 2,000 views in, a couple, like one day. So that's awesome too. I apologize, my ears itching. I apologize about the fan. If you hear it, I apologize. But, it's those things that kind of make you excited for doing this channel. And then talking about the Oscars is exciting for at least me and some, most people. So, but yeah, let's get into this. I will go as long as it needs to, I guess. The Oscars don't start till 8. So, we'll go ahead and start with some Oscar nominations. Let me pull up my list. Okay, so this is what I have as picked for my predictions of the Oscars. We'll kind of go through them one by one. I'll switch back and forth as I'm talking. We'll start with writing. I don't know. Let's see. What do we want to do? We'll start with the international feature film, which is the least well known of my fun of the Oscars. So we have as International Film Festival, we have Corpus Christi, we have Honeyland, we have Les Miserables, we have Pain and Glory, and we have Parasite. This is the one category out of most of the categories outside of like the shorts and stuff like that I really didn't see any of these movies outside of Parasite. The only reason I picked Parasite is because it's almost like a guaranteed lock for this. A lot of people want Honeyland, a lot of people want Les Miserables. I hear those movies are really good. I can't really tell you, but I'm just going with Parasite. I think that's the winner, and I think that's who they're going to pick as the winner, just because it was so well received and so well liked, and it was a movie that was just on a different level for most people. Like I said, you see in my review, I wasn't like the biggest fan of it, but I understand why people are. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been an interesting year. I did hear about like Honeyland was supposed to be really good. Pain and Glory is Pedro Almodóvar's movie, which I heard is really good, with Antonio Banderas, because he got an Oscar nomination for it. So I will see these movies eventually, but right now, yeah. So Parasite, I think is gonna win it, honestly. Let's see. Let's go to short film animated. Let's see. It's I think it's Daughter. Hair Love, Kit Bull, Memorable, and Sister. I have seen a couple of these films. I've seen Hair Love and Kit Bull. Kit Bull broke my heart. It was so good. It really was. It was such a heartbreaking movie, but it was such an uplifting movie that it was so exciting to watch and so much fun and so just amazing. I loved it so much. And Hair Love I just watched recently. There was a video online about it that was just amazing, about the people who got nominated. They were excited. They were like amped up and just super into the idea of this their short winning or not being nominated, which is an amazing thing. But yeah, it was great. I loved it. I think it was a very touching very touching animated short. And I thought it did some things that are just like the animation's so gorgeous. You know, it's kind of like with I Lost My Body. It was just such a gorgeous looking short or animated short, and I just loved it. I hope it wins. Who did I pick? I think I picked Kit Bull. I picked Kit Bull. No, I picked Hair Love. I really want Hair Love to win. I don't think it'll win. I think Kit Bull will win because it's Pixar, and their Pixar shorts right now are hitting it, like out of the park. If you watch their Spark shorts, that's where Kit Bull came from. And it's an amazing thing. So definitely check that out if you haven't had a chance to. But where do we go next? Let's go documentary short subject. This isn't gonna be too long. I was actually watching mainly movies about this because she apparently watched all the shorts, and I think she picked learning to skateboard. I could be wrong about that. I apologize. But it's In the Absence, Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone If You're a Girl, Life Overtakes Me, St. Louis Superman, and Walk, Run, Cha-Cha. This is always kind of an issue, a problem for me in general. Not them being bad. I never watch these things, and I feel so bad because there's probably some really good shorts, and they're probably really good and probably really inventive and probably really powerful. But it's like you don't get to see them unless you go to a theater that's 25 miles away, and I just can't do that sometimes because I'm busy at work. And I just hear it's good. I heard most of those shorts are really good. It's just is what it is. So, but yeah, I put let's see who I have winning. I kind of took a crapshoot, but I put Life Overtakes Me. I like the title Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone If You're a Girl. I think it's a really inventive title. So, I mean, it is what it is. So we'll see what happens with that. Where do we go next? Let's go makeup and hairstyling. I'm just kind of randomly picking, trying to decide. I'll get to the big ones later on in a second or a minute. So makeup and hairstyling. There's some pretty good ones in here. 19 and 17 has good makeup. I don't know about hairstyling. This is kind of one of those categories they put together for some reason. But we have Bombshell, we have Joker, Judy, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil, 1917. Joker I picked because, it's Joker. I thought the hair and makeup was pretty good in it. I thought, the makeup looked, as good as you can get in a movie. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil could be an amazing pick. Judy, the makeup and hairstyle and stuff like that is really good. Bombshell is like kind of the outlier because it's good, but there's not really much to it. I mean, costuming I could see Bombshell maybe, but not makeup and hairstyle. I guess it's just it is what it is. But I picked Joker because I think that's the obvious choice. But whether it wins or not, who knows. So let's see. Where do you want to go next? So let's go short film live action. This is another genre or another set of Oscar nominations I did not watch. We have Brotherhood, Netted Football Club, The Neighbor's Widow, Saria, and a Sister. I picked Saria. I really don't know. It could be anyone. I really wish I watched some of these because it would give me more of an idea. I heard most of these are pretty good. I heard Netta's Football Club is really good. Sister's really good. Brotherhood, I heard is good. Neighbor's Widow, actually, I haven't heard anything about. So, I mean, we'll see if it's actually good or not. Or I shouldn't say we should because they're obviously Oscar nomination if they're good. But, like I said, we'll see. I said I picked, what did I pick? Keep going back to the nominations. I picked Saria, so there you go. That's short film live action. Let's see. Let's go over to costume design. Costume design. We have The Irishman. We have Jojo Rabbit. We have Joker. We have Little Women and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I picked Joker just because Joker has great costuming. Little Women is probably the best chance. I'm probably gonna get that wrong. Little Women because it's a period piece. It's a set piece. It has great costumes as Little Women should because it's a great movie. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, very 60s. It looks like 60s movie. Jojo Rabbit, of course, has great costuming as well. The Nazi uniforms and stuff like that. It's very a period piece. Irishman, of course, looks very the 70s and 60s and 90s and today. I think this is a really fun category. I think there's some really great nominations in this. I think they're all perfect and excellent. Whatever wins, I'll be happy with because there's not really a perfect win because they're all great. But yeah, Joker, I think is going to win it. I think Joker's going to have a big night. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it is what it is. So let's see, where do we want to go next? Let's go documentary feature. Let's see. So this is another one Honeyland got a double nomination in. I've heard all these are pretty amazing. Like I said, I haven't seen any of them, so it's kind of a crapshoot for me. American Factory, I heard is really, really good. I heard The K is really, really good. I've heard The Edge of Democracy is really good. I've heard For Sama is really good. Honeyland, I picked because I've heard that is an amazing documentary. Whether that actually wins or not is a different story. It could be American Factory, which I've heard is really, really good. I'm hoping a lot of these show up on Netflix or show up on Hulu or any streaming services because I would love to watch them. Like Mind the Gap was on Hulu, so I was really excited to watch that. I watched a lot of the short documentaries last year, but I mean, it's still here is a good category. So I mean, I'm looking forward to it. So while I'm reading these off, let me know in the comments what you think about these nominations. Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? Tell me what you think. So, where do we want to go next? Production, short film, animated. Let's go over to the sound departments. We'll go to sound editing, which I learned a little bit about these. Sound editing apparently is all the sound effects that you see in the movie, which makes sense. So we have Ford v Ferrari, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Obviously, I'm a big fanboy of 1917. I'm not gonna lie, so I picked that. But I really think it's gonna be Ford v Ferrari, just because of how good that sounds and how good the vehicles sound. I mean, maybe they cheated a little bit. I don't know, but I think it's pretty amazing to listen to. But all these movies they're amazing to listen to. That's the problem with this category is you have. I think the weakest one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And that's just because it doesn't have the 1917 vibe or the Ford v Ferrari. You know what? Joker could be a weak point too, but that's not bashing the movie or anything. That's just what I'm thinking. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is just Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, so we know how that works out. It's a Star Wars movie. It's always going to have great sound. I would pick Star Wars, but I don't think it has a chance because it wasn't a very good movie, as we have discussed on my podcast. So yeah, that's the sound mixing or sound editing category. Like I said, I picked 1917, but don't be surprised if it's not Ford v Ferrari. So we'll go to sound mixing now. We have Ad Astra, Ford v Ferrari, Joker, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I picked 1917, of course. This is another one that I think Ford v Ferrari is going to win. I think Ad Astra could win it because Ad Astra was an amazing sounding movie. Even though I didn't like the movie because it was just not for me. It was just a little weird and obtuse and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a category of very good films. I think Joker could have been replaced with like Star Wars or something like that. Maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think Joker's just got a lot of categories it was nominated for because people really loved it. And, that's fine. It is what it is. But, yeah, I picked 1917 because I think it was just an amazing mixed score. I think it was a fantastic, mixed, music or not music, but the sound and stuff like that was incredible and fantastic and beautiful and just a gorgeous, gorgeous movie. So yeah, I went 1917, but do not be surprised if it's not Ford v Ferrari or maybe Ad Astra. It's only a nomination, so we'll see. Let's move on. Let's just move down the list to visual effects. So we have for visual effects, it was a very tight year for visual effects, very good year. Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, 1917, and Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, so I picked The Irishman. I wouldn't be surprised if The Irishman didn't win the nomination for this. I wasn't as impressed with The Irishman as a lot of people were. I think it was fantastic what they did. But my biggest problem is some of it looked a little weird and out of place, and some of the character moments were kind of. But I think it has a clear shot to win just because of what they did with it, because they made everyone in that movie look younger than they really are, except for Ray Romano. Maybe Ray Romano never seems to age apparently, but this category is filled with such great films. Outside of okay, I know The Lion King's in here. I don't think it should be, but people keep telling me yes, it's a visual effects movie. Blah 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 blah. It's an animated movie. It's not a visual effects movie. Put it in the animated category. I hate that this is in here. You could have put something completely different and exciting and new and da 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 da. I mean, oh my god. Lion King's just a terrible movie, but I get what they did. I think it could have been done better, but you know what? It is what it is. I picked 1917, or no, what did I pick? No, I picked Irishman. 1917, I think, is more of a cinematography and directorial standpoint than it is a visual effects standpoint. There are visual effects in it, but I think when you look at the big picture, it's more about the cinematography and directing and acting and so on and so forth. So you could have switched that out with something else. I think it could have worked a lot better. Let's see. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. It's the only good thing about the movie was the visual effects. I mean, we all know The Rise of Skywalker wasn't that good. I mean, a lot of people liked it. Oh, Keanu Reeves with Judi Dench. Okay. I'm watching the Oscar pre-stuff as well, so I saw Keanu Reeves with, I think, was Judi Dench, so that's always fun. But yeah, Rise of Skywalker is a typical Oscar nomination. It's very good. It's ILM doing what ILM does, which is fantastic work, and I think what they're doing is amazing. I think they always do amazing stuff. They don't always hit it out of the park. Some things don't look good, Transformers, but sometimes they do. So, but we'll move on. Let's see, where do we want to go now? Let's move to the writing adapted screenplay. Okay, so we have The Irishman, which is Steve Zalian, Jojo Rabbit, which is Taika Waititi, Joker, which is Todd Phillips, Little Women, which is Greta Gerwig, and I can't remember who did the two popes. I apologize about that. It's been pretty. I have to go with the Joker on this one, just because I think I want Taika Waititi to win this one. I want him to win it bad. I wouldn't mind Steve Zalian winning or Greta Gerwig winning, but Taika Waititi did something amazing with Jojo Rabbit, and that movie's brilliant. And he brought out two young kids, Roman Griffith Davies and Archie Yates, and my God, it was amazing. And yeah, Thomasin McKenzie and Scarlett Johansson doing some amazing stuff in that movie. I think he should win it, but I think the Joker's going to win it because it's the Joker's year. I think the Joker's just going to sweep outside of maybe Best Picture. I think that's going to go to what I'll talk about in a couple minutes. But yeah, like I said, Steve Zalian is one of my favorite writers. He did The Irishman. I think that's fantastic. I think there is some problems with it, just with the length and how much they added into it. But that is, Martin Scorsese. Little Women with Greta Gerwig is she's a fantastic actress, fantastic director, and she's going to be around for a long time doing some great films. I'm going to look up IMDb real quick. I really want to find out who did the two popes. Let's see. I feel bad. Neglect the one person. Anthony McCartan. I haven't seen this movie yet. I heard it's amazing. Anthony McCartan did Theory of Everything, The Darkest Hour. Was a writer on Bohemian Rhapsody. Did he win an Oscar? Oh, he's been nominated for 4 Oscars, including 2 popes. He got an Oscar nomination for actually the last 2 movies I just talked about. So, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Let's see. But yeah. Like I said, I want to see it. I just haven't had a chance. I've been really busy doing that James Bond series. So let me tell you, the series is insane. I filmed like 4 videos already of that series, and that I haven't edited yet. So they're coming along just slowly. So All right, let's move on. Let's see, what do we have? We have writing original screenplay. We have Knives Out, Ryan Johnson, Marriage Story, Baumbach, 1917, Sam Mendes, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino, Parasite, Bong Joon-ho. I picked Marriage Story, Noah Baumbach, because I think that's an amazing script. But I had to go with my man Ryan Johnson on this one, who I want to win this Oscar because after the crap he went with The Last Jedi, he deserves an Oscar. I swear to God, I'm not even joking. Ryan Johnson deserves the Oscar for what he did with Knives Out because that was an incredible, incredible movie. That was a movie that just I want to love and want to hug because it's so good. You know, Marriage Story, fantastic film, but Knives Out is just a whole complete turnaround for somebody that got so much garbage for no reason. And I love it. Yeah, like I said, Parasite, really good script, has a really good structure to it. You know, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of it. Please don't hate me for that, but you know, it is what it is. Excuse me. 1917 won't win because people don't like the script of that for some weird reason. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think is, you know, Quentin Tarantino doing Quentin Tarantino. I think if he gets win, cool. I think that'd be awesome. But I think it's going to be Marriage Story. I think Noah Baumbach has it in the book, and we'll see. We'll see indeed, because you know that's actually a tricky one because it could literally be anyone. It could be everyone and anyone. That's what the best thing about writing Oscars. There's never a clear winner, so it could be anyone. So there we go. That's on the writing awards. So we're getting closer to the big ones. Let's see. Excuse me. We'll go to animated feature. This is a really great category. This is one of my favorite categories because it has the one movie I was hoping would be in here. But we got How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, a fantastic film. We got I Lost My Body. We got Klaus, which is supposed to be great from what I hear. Missing Link, which I was super excited for. Toy Story 4, which I love, but I don't like it as much as I thought I did when this is the second time I saw it when it showed up on Plus. I haven't seen Klaus. I don't know. I was really shocked by Frozen 2 not being on this list. I'm not that upset by it, but I was really shocked by that. I mean, that's Frozen 2. I mean, you don't expect that. You expect, you know, Missing Link to be taken out and Frozen 2 brought in there, but I thought Missing Link was a fantastic film. I thought it was amazing. The thing that I'm most excited for, and I showed it when I did my Oscar nomination watch, is I Lost My Body. I watched that like 3 or 4 weeks prior or something like that. I want that to win really badly, that I put it as a pick for my win. I love that movie to death. I think it's fantastic. I think it's still the best animated movie of the year. I think Missing Link is just right behind it. I think it's an incredible piece of work. It's on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, go watch it today because it shows you some true heart, true feelings, and it's fantastic. And it's just the levels of weirdness and depthness and oddness to that film. I love it. I love it to death. It's fantastic. So, yeah, I'm picking I Lost My Body. It'll probably go to like Toy Story 4 or Toy Story 4. I don't know. I'm a little down on Toy Story 4. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So, let's see. We'll go to music original score. Joker's gonna win this one. It's been getting all the awards. Little Women has a great score. Marriage Story, I can't remember the score, but I know it's pretty good. 1917, I want to win because that is a fantastic score. It's one of my favorites. And then John Williams is getting his obligatory Star Wars Rise of Skywalker nomination because it's the end of the Skywalker saga. So it was going to happen either way. It doesn't matter if it's the best score or not. It was always going to get a nomination because it's John Williams and his career is fantastic. Like I said, Joker's going to win it because, you know, it's the Joker. It's, you know, still a good score. But come on, 1917's Thomas Newman's score is fantastic. It is glorious. It is beautiful, and it should win, but it's not which is fine. You know, at least I still know it's a great film. So I'm hoping it wins, but if it doesn't, congratulations to Joker, because that's almost the guarantee win on that one. So, give me 1 second. I gotta drink some water. Talking like this can really hurt your throat. Excuse me. Okay, so music original song. I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away, I'm Gonna Love Me Again, Standing With You, Into the Unknown, and Stand Up. Any one of these movies, any one of these songs could win. I just put I'm Gonna Love Me Again. I actually kind of wanted to see Cynthia Erivo win this because she's an amazing singer. If you saw her in Bad Times at the El Royale, it was an amazing piece that she did. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really interested. Randy Newman probably won't win for I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away. It wasn't that great of a song, to be honest. Not like compared to like A Friend Like Me or the song that Jesse sang in Toy Story 2. It's just, you can't compare it to those songs. I'm Gonna Love Me Again is of course the Elton John and Taron Egerton song. I think it's just going because it's those two, and Taron Egerton was snubbed, and that movie's okay. A lot of people who love that movie, so it's fine. But I think it's gonna win. I'm Standing With You probably won't. Into the Unknown is the kind of, I guess, pick for what could possibly win. I mean, I don't know. Frozen 2 just wasn't my bag, unfortunately. But I didn't want to talk about it because it's just not point of being so negative about that movie, because I know a lot of people love it. I know some people that was their favorite movie of the year, so I don't bag on it too much. But I think it would be, like I said, Cynthia Erivo for Stand Up. I think it was Stand Up that she did. Or I'm Standing. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Stand Up. If she wins for that, that's awesome. So. Okay, so let's do cinematography. We have The Irishman, fantastic. Joker, The Lighthouse, which got its only nomination, which people were mad by that. Got 1917 and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This isn't a bad list, not a bad list at all. I picked 1917 because, that was an amazing piece of work for the cinematography. That was, my God, let's try and like break down how good that was, and how good the shooting of that was, how complicated it was. There's a great documentary. It's not very long. I think they're like 12 minutes long, where they break down the ideas and the look and feel of how they set that thing together, how many months they took on it. Roger Deakins, man, I'm telling you what, this guy is just, he's a beast, man. He is an incredible talent. I'm not taking away from any of the other people that were nominated in this list, but if Roger Deakins does not get the win for this, and there's a possibility he might not because of like The Irishman or something like that, I will be truly disappointed, and I will be truly upset. I think it's an incredible crime if he doesn't get nominated. I know this is all pre-nomination stuff before the Oscar wins. The only thing that could upset it at this point is maybe The Lighthouse, because what that movie did, and Robert Eggers and stuff like that. I haven't watched it because I wasn't a big fan of the Witch, whatever you want to call it. But 1917, I have a full lock on that. I think it will win. So, I mean, just watch that movie. If you haven't, just mesmerize yourself in the lunacy of that movie and how it works. So, but yeah. Let's go into the next one, which is we're getting into like the big ones now. I'm gonna go with there's always one supporting award that goes first. Let's go actress in a supporting role, because this is a really interesting category. Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh for Little Women, Margot Robbie, I think, for Bombshell, which should have been Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is Laura Dern. If Laura Dern doesn't win this, I'll be kind of shocked. The only person I could think of maybe competing with her is Florence Pugh. But I know a lot of people are kind of iffy on Laura Dern as an Oscar winner, but it's her year to win one. I mean, it was such an amazing performance. It was such a revolutionary performance by what she was doing. It was held up, of course, by Scarlett Johansson, but Laura Dern is evil and twisted. And a lot of people think she should have actually been nominated for Little Women, but I think she is a shark. I think she is doing fantastic work in Marriage Story. And it's one of the best performances of the year to me personally. I thought Laura Dern was just fantastic in it. She is just incredible in that role. I was really shocked that Kathy Bates was nominated because she's really good in it, but it was a movie that people really didn't like or wasn't too big on, which is kind of crazy. But I guess I can understand why people would enjoy her because Kathy Bates is Kathy Bates, kind of like Meryl Streep. You know, Kathy Bates gives a good performance. You wanna give her at least some love. Meryl Streep's not nominated this year, which is kind of funny. Let's see, Scarlett Johansson. I think Scarlett Johansson has had an incredible year. I mean, it's mind-boggling how good her year is between Marriage Story and Jojo Rabbit. I think Jojo Rabbit is the most fun she's had all year in a long time. I think it's one of her best performances since Lost in Translation. So I would love to see her win the award, but I think because of the split, because of the two nominations that she's gotten, which is it's been a long time for that. I don't think she's gonna win, unfortunately. I think it's just a split nomination. So yeah, it is what it is. You know, it's interesting year for supporting actors. Not the most competitive, but some of the best I see all year. So let's go to supporting actor or actor in a supporting role. This is a really good list. Outside of Anthony Hopkins, who I haven't watched The Two Popes, but Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino for The Irishman, Joe Pesci for The Irishman, Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a lock for Brad Pitt. If he doesn't win this award, I will be. Let me click back to me. Shocked. I will be like Home Alone. That scenario because he's pretty much won every award, kind of like Joaquin Phoenix. He's won everything imaginable. I don't think it's his best performance. I think something like 12 Monkeys or Fight Club is his best performance. Like Laura Dern, he has had that type of year where he's deserved of an Oscar. It's kind of like Martin Scorsese. It's just his award to lose. I mean, if he loses it the possibility of losing it to Joe Pesci is a possibility, but if he loses to Joe Pesci, there's gonna be some outcry. I mean, maybe there won't be. Maybe people really want Joe Pesci. I don't know, but it's gonna be an interesting look into the Oscars, into what it could be. But I think this year is gonna be a very tame, bland year. I think, like I said, Brad Pitt's gonna win. If he doesn't win, it'll be kind of a surprise. There's some people who are like, no, Joe Pesci is gonna win. I'm like, I wouldn't be so sure about that. So, but the other nominations we had. Like I said, Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks was amazing, but it's just not his year. Thank God he finally got another nomination. It's been a long time. Anthony Hopkins is not going to win because it's just, it's Brad Pitt. I mean, what can you say? Al Pacino was the least favorite because, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci stole the movie. And I thought Al Pacino was amazing in the role, but you could have given it to someone else outside of Joe Pesci. I mean, outside of Al Pacino. So, but that's actor in a supporting role. Excuse me. Let's go on to director. So we have Martin Scorsese for The Irishman. We have Todd Phillips, which is an outcry for the Joker. It should have been like Greta Gerwig or something like that. Or Lulu Wang for The Farewell. I will raise some issues with The Farewell, which has not been nominated for anything. 1917, Sam Mendes, Locke, Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Parasite, Bong Joon-ho. Sorry, I keep mispronouncing that. I pretty much have come to the term of 1917 getting that win with Sam Mendes, because he did something completely different than any of these directors, which is not saying they didn't do bad work, but 1917 is just on a whole different level of directing. It's what Alfonso Cuarón did with Children of Men, which he did it through the whole movie. He did Children of Men, but he set it into a Saving Private Ryan universe and made it one shot continuous, or at least it's supposed to be continuous. So it's incredible. Like I will go to my deathbed loving 1917. But 1917 will most likely win it. The only one that will contend is possibly Bong Joon-ho. Bong Joon-ho. I'm never gonna get that name. I don't know why that is. I think he's gonna. I think he's a possibility to win it, which would kind of lock up. Usually, the director a lot of times doesn't win the best picture. So Bong Joon-ho doesn't win or wins. 1917 is probably gonna win it. If he doesn't win, Sam Mendes is gonna win. Then Parasite's gonna win it. So it could be both. It could be both. You know, winning both of those awards. But if Sam Mendes wins, most likely Parasite's gonna win Best Picture. In the opposite. So that's just how I look at things. Let's see. So we have Joker with Todd Phillips. I don't understand why he's director. It should have been Lulu Wang or Greta Gerwig or somebody else other than Todd Phillips. I don't have a hate on Todd Phillips. I just don't think the Joker is the best directing movie of all time of the year. So Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is pretty fantastic. And like I said, Parasite is a Parasite. And then The Irishman, Martin Scorsese, it's another one of those you could trade out. There was a, I can't remember which podcast I was listening to, but they made a good point. As much as I don't like the people on the podcast sometimes, you could almost switch out The Irishman, Martin Scorsese, with someone else, because The Irishman will get the Oscar for nomination for Best Picture, but not director. Maybe give it to someone who hasn't really gotten an Oscar nomination before, but it's Oscars. I'm sounding a little stupid. I mean, what can I say? So, but you know, it is what it is. So, but anyways, let's continue. Let's continue to the top 3. Let's go. We did supporting actress first, so we'll go actor in a leading role. Surprisingly, Antonio Banderas finally got a nomination. I actually thought he was nominated before, but apparently not. So Pain and Glory. A lot of people wanted Taron Egerton in that spot. Leonardo DiCaprio in a career performance with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Adam Driver in his best role period in Marriage Story. Joaquin Phoenix for the Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for the Two Popes. You know, like I said, I haven't seen the Two Popes, so I don't know. Say it with me. Joaquin Phoenix is winning. There's not much else to say on it. Joaquin Phoenix is winning. He's going to give that crazy speech that he is given every time, where he is it's profound. It's an important speech, but it is a speech that Joaquin Phoenix is known for giving. He's going to be very to the point. He's going to be very blunt to Hollywood, and that's who Joaquin Phoenix is. He's always been blunt to Hollywood. And, yeah, I mean, it's a career-making performance. I'm going to be honest. It's an amazing performance. It's the best part about the movie, and he's going to win it. If he doesn't win it, everybody will cry foul. Everybody will riot in the street, and there will be a true Joker scenario. I personally want Adam Driver to win. That's just my opinion. I think he gave one of the best performances of his career, period. But Joaquin Phoenix was on another level, and he knows he was on another level. He just won't admit to it. So, but yeah, that's actor in a leading role. Like I said, Leonardo DiCaprio and Antonio Banderas. You know, it's been a good year for you guys. So, you know, good luck next year. Jonathan Pryce. You know, thank God he got a nomination. Cool, it's cool. So, but we'll go to actress in a leading role. We got Cynthia Erivo for Harriet. I think that's an interesting pick. I don't know much about the movie because I didn't see it. Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story, fantastic. Could possibly win. Is the second choice. Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, fantastic. She's fantastic, and I think they probably could swap someone else out. Charlize Theron for Bombshell. She's good. She's great. That was more. It's a fun movie. It's a good movie. I think she's great in it, but I don't know Best Actress. But maybe it was just kind of a lean year for Best Actresses. I don't know. Renee Zellweger and Judy, I thought was a fantastic performance. I thought she was amazing in it. A lot of people disagree for some weird reason. This is a two-way crapshoot. I think Renee Zellweger is going to win because she's kind of won pretty much every award. If Scarlett Johansson wins tonight, I would be clapping for joy because she was fantastic in Marriage Story. The scene between her and Laura Dern where she kind of just goes on for like a 5-minute to 6-minute spiel, maybe longer, whatever it was, it blew my mind. It was incredible. It was an incredible performance. And then when you get to that apartment scene between her and Adam Driver, it was just an incredibly moving and emotional performance. And yeah, oh my God, it was an amazing performance by Scarlett Johansson. But I'm not gonna continue going down that route because I just love her so much because she's fantastic. So It's probably going to be Renee Zellweger to win, but Scarlett Johansson would be a welcome addition. So that's it. That's it for the best nomination Oscars. Have a good night. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so best picture. This is a very interesting category. Ford v Ferrari was an amazing, interesting pick. The Irishman was always going to be nominated. Jojo Rabbit was a fist in the air, amazing pick because Taika Waititi's amazing. Joker's in here because people love the Joker. Little Women, Greta Gerwig's movie was awesome. Marriage Story was awesome. 1917 is one of the best movies of the decade. I don't care what anybody says. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a fantastic film. And Parasite, it deserves the Best Picture nomination. I'm not discrediting it. It is what it is. But I'm going to leave it at this. I think, like I said, if 1917 wins Best Picture, Bong Joon-ho is going to win Best Director. If Sam Mendes wins Best Director, Parasite's going to win. But it could be both. It just depends. But I'm picking 1917 because I just think that's an amazing achievement of a movie. But if Parasite wins, I will not complain. I will not be upset. If Joker wins, I will be a little upset. Joker does not deserve to win. This is not Green Book. I don't want Joker to win. I know a lot of people disagree with me on that. People put that in their top 10 of the year, which is perfectly fine. I don't have any problem with that. I don't think it's Best Picture of the year. This is where I go into my rant, and I'm going to leave it on because I need to take a break so I can get some more water. The Farewell was one of the best movies of the year. That movie got screwed out of every single award that it should have gone. For Xiao Zhen, for Awkwafina, director, writing, best picture, best costuming, best cinematography, best everything. Why didn't that movie get nominated? Take Joker out. I don't care. Take Ford v Ferrari out. I don't care. Take something out of this list. I love Little Women, but that could have been taken out and put The Farewell in there. That was a crime against nature. Not really nature. It's a movie. It's all movies. But that was just a complete boggling of the mind. I mean, that movie was so special. Why didn't that movie get any love? I don't get it. You give Lion King Best Visual Effect Award nomination. Why couldn't you have given an Oscar nomination, at least something to The Farewell? Give it a Best Picture nomination. That's my rant. I don't know. But that's the best. I mean, they could have given a 10th spot. They had 10 great movies. They had more than 10 great movies this year. Or last year in 2019. Why didn't you put The Farewell in there? You have a spot. You might as well put it in there. It was a great 2019. You're already doing a 5 through 10 list anyways, depending on the year. So why not put 10 films in there? I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why The Farewell's not in the Best Picture nomination. I'm so boggled. I'm so kind of bothered by it. I don't know. I gotta calm myself down. So, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting Oscars. It's not gonna be really that surprising, I'm sure. I've kind of made my points and opinions on things that whenever you watch this or if you're watching now, if you agree or disagree, that's fine. But there are some fun things in here. I hear Billie Eilish is singing the memorandum or memoriam or whatever you want to call it. So I'm sure there'll be some snubs in there. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a 15-minute break. It's still going to be streaming. There'll just be a static screenshot. I'm going to watch the Oscars. I'm going to continue to stream. If you guys want to continue to join me and watch, that's fine. If you don't, you watch it yourself, that's fine. But I'll react live, and I will take notes. If you see me and hear me typing, I'm taking notes just so I have notes for later on. But, yeah, I mean, it's the Oscars, so I'm still excited. I'm still ready for it. I think it'll be fun. I don't think it'll be the greatest Oscars of all time because it's just not that type of year. It's a pretty predictable year. But we could lead up to surprises. Never know. So, yeah, I still got a minute. I don't know. This is on a delay on the screen anyway, so let me go ahead and take a 15-minute break, grab some water, use the bathroom, get prepared for the Oscars of 2020. Rami Malek's on the screen right now, as you're probably watching, and I'll be back shortly.